Hello RV Nation, it's Paul here, and in this how-to series video, we're going to talk about trouble codes, throttle bodies, and battery disconnects on your RV, so stick around. Okay gang, so you may remember this. Alright, because I'm a complete knucklehead, the very first place we gassed up, I left the gas cap there. And about 100 miles after that, the engine light come on, which is kind of normal when you do stuff like that. So, stopping at a Ford dealership here in San Diego to get a new gas cap. Yeah, very first trip out, I left the gas cap at a gas station where we filled up. When we drove down the road, engine light come on showing there was a trouble code, and my assumption was that I did something wrong and obviously remembered that I had not put the gas cap on at the last gas station. So went to Ford, got a new gas cap, put it on, but the engine light remained. Now me being an old school guy, I knew that I could get rid of a trouble code, or at least thought I could get rid of the trouble code by disconnecting the battery, letting the thing sit, trouble code's gone, right? Wrong. When you disconnect the battery in the Ford F53 chassis, you have to do this whole relearn thing, and you can get into issues with your throttle body getting stuck closed and all kinds of stuff because the entire computer has to remap itself and relearn everything that it had before. So, coach won't start now, or at least it starts, it only idles for a little bit, and then it dies on me. So we're gonna fix that right now. And what we're gonna do is first we're gonna take a look at the trouble codes and find out what it's actually saying is wrong. So come on, let's check it out. Okay, so I've got my handy code reader here. Now, you can pick these code readers up fairly inexpensively depending on your make and model of vehicle. This particular Ford, I wanted a decent meter or a decent reader so that in the future I could use it for other things. Now you can use these to erase trouble codes. I don't recommend erasing trouble codes unless you know what you're doing and you know for a fact that you have fixed the issue. If you just keep erasing trouble codes, you can run into all kinds of issues with burned up motors and valves and all kinds of crazy stuff. You don't want to go there. If you don't know that you've repaired what is troubling your coach, don't just erase it. Now we're going to see what's going on now that I've disconnected the battery, reconnected it. I'm going to run the trouble codes and see exactly the issue. The reader reads off of a plug that looks like that. That is an OBD2 reader. That's the plug for that. Now, if you have an older coach, I believe pre-1996, you're going to have an OBD1. That connector is going to be out in the engine compartment, and you're not going to be able to do that from inside the coach. So this is going to only apply to those with OBD2 connectors, okay? And it's under the dash here, just right of the steering wheel. Yours may have been moved to a different spot. It's going to depend on your coach. You might have to do a little bit of searching around, but you're going to look for a connector like this. It may have a cover over it, a dust cover. So sometimes it may be hard to see. Just get a flashlight, get up underneath there, and you're going to be able to see that yourself. Now, I'm going to try and show you video of that underneath the dash right now. Okay, now, if you see on this old girl here, that is the plug. That's what the plug looks like right there. You can barely see it in the video, but you can see that it is just to the right-hand side of the steering wheel, just to the right-hand side and down right through this area here. So as you're looking in the dash, mine is right here. Yours is going to be in and around that area as well, but it can be moved around. So you want to make sure that, you know, have a little bit of a look before you give up and say that it's not there, because it may be quite well hidden underneath there. Okay, now as I plug this in, you should see the meter come alive. There you go there. And you can see the scan tool is going to the auto link. And what you want to do is you want to turn your key to the run position, but don't start the vehicle. and you'll see that the auto link, let me see if I can get that to focus. It's gonna be really hard to get that to focus on the screen. Probably gonna be next to impossible. You might be able to see that there. So you can see that it's linking to it now, and then it should give us our trouble codes. Is this vehicle a Ford? Yes, it is. Now, this is saying 1 of 5. Now, you may not be able to see it in the video. This one says throttle actuator control system stuck closed. Not good. We're going to go to number 5, saying stuck closed. So it's actually giving different forced idle for number 2 code. Number 3 code, it's saying forced idle. The 4th code is saying control module processor. Hopefully the processor is not damaged from my disconnection of the battery. We will have to see. So what it looks like is we're going to have to open up that throttle body and probably clean it. So we're going to have to do that. Okay, so the throttle body is in the front of the engine. It should be fairly easy to access. Now, I've never done this on an RV before, especially this RV. Never done it on an RV. Motorcycles, some cars and things like that, but never done this, so should be fun. Now, this here is your air box. This is where you've got your filters, okay? So we're going to access that, and there might be one more in the back, probably not. Hopefully you'll be able to see that. So you can see that's where your air filter is, inside of there. And so we're gonna take the top off of this, and you can actually, maybe you can see that in there. I can't see how the light is in there, but this right here, behind here, back up in here is where your throttle body is going to be. So we're going to take this off right now to try and get access to that throttle body. I'm going to leave the video running. Who knows, maybe I'll bust a knuckle, cut something open, swear a little on video, and it'll be entertaining for everybody. The throttle body is kind of what I would consider a medium difficulty, you know, maybe a 3 out of 5, something like that. It's not that hard. At least it's not on most vehicles. Now it looks like I'm actually going to have to go under the doghouse inside the RV to get access to this, that I won't be able to access it from the outside. Yep, probably gonna have to access it from inside. This is the throttle body that I needed to access. So yeah, I would have never got that from outside. I'm gonna disconnect this plug on the side. You don't want there's gears and stuff inside of this throttle body. You don't want that stuff moving at all when you're playing around with it. So we're gonna disconnect that plug first. It looks like there's gonna be probably 4 bolts plus this little, almost like an alligator clip, this big alligator clip that goes around to hold the air intake on. And this whole thing should just pop right out. At least that's the theory. And some parts fell down in there, which is never good. With these old engines, coaches, cars, whatever, the plastic stuff is always really brittle. So just be prepared for that. Wish I had some more light in here for you guys to see this, but it's gonna be as good as it gets. So that band just comes off, and then this will slide back and off. And there's another clip over here. There's another plug, so we'll get that one off as well. If I drop one of these nuts in here, you're gonna hear a lot of language. So I'm gonna try very hard not to do that. Voila, your throttle body. It was 4 screws, the clamp around here, so not that difficult really to take off. What's scary is the fact that this throttle body is perfectly clean and seems to be functioning fine. We're gonna clean it up a little bit more anyways. Okay gang, I'm not gonna video the whole cleaning of this thing. It's fairly simple, straightforward process. You take your throttle body and intake cleaner, and you're gonna spray it inside of your throttle body, both sides. This has got just a little bit of goop in here, so I really highly doubt that this is gonna be my issue, but we'll see. So I'm just gonna clean this up, and then we'll be back to install it, see where you go from there. Okay, everything's put back together. Throttle body's been cleaned, and time to check codes again, see what happens. Okay, gang, so when we last left you guys, we were pulling codes after cleaning the old fuel body, and what we found were we still had error codes. We were still pulling the forced idle closed code and the stuck closed codes on the throttle body, even though it had been fully cleaned. And like I said, it actually looked like it was pretty new anyways. We contacted several mechanics. Most of them had no clue what the hell they were talking about. Finally found one online that sounded like he knew what he was talking about and said there was a service bulletin about the Ford throttle bodies that when you disconnected the battery, there was going to be some reprogramming, blah, 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 and that I needed to buy a new throttle body. It seemed kind of over the top to need a brand new fuel throttle body just from disconnecting the battery, but what the hell do I know? So, off to O'Reilly we went. We ordered this part last Friday. This is now Wednesday. Last Friday. They said if I had ordered it an hour earlier, it would have been in Saturday. Couldn't get it in till Monday, no problem. Showed up on Monday, they didn't have it. They said it would be in on Tuesday. Showed up yesterday morning, they still did not have it. So I said, screw you guys, I'll order it online. I ordered it from Rock Auto. They said they would have it here on Friday. Got a call this morning from O'Reilly saying they had my part now and that I was going to, and then I could come and pick it up if I wanted to. So I went down, picked up the part from O'Reilly, canceled the one from Rock Auto online. Hopefully we'll see what happens with that. And we now have the brand new fuel throttle body here from O'Reilly. And we're going to install that now. So as soon as I get that installed, we'll come back and see if we can't get this freaking thing up and running, or if we've got a disaster on our hands and it's a whole lot more than just this. So keeping our fingers crossed. And the old one is out, in with the new. I'm going to put a little lithium grease on the seal to seal it. The seal actually looks pretty good. Install the bolts on the top so that you can, have something to hold onto it for you. And you can just finger tighten those. Now, guys, this is really self-explanatory. It's 4 bolts. It's 2 electrical connectors. Pop the 2 electrical connectors off. 4 bolts. Oh, and 1 alligator clip to take off the air intake. Really, really a simple deal. So don't get freaked out by this. Bottom bolts are a little more difficult. You don't want to drop these things down into the engine. Or you won't drop it into the engine, but into the engine compartment. They will be a nightmare to find. Now, gang, anytime you're doing mechanical work and you've got something that you're retightening, let's say it's got 4 bolts, 1 on each corner, you're always best off to tighten opposite ends first. So tighten top left, bottom right, and then top right, bottom left, or whatever, but do it opposing things so you don't tweak the part. And your best off is to always finger tighten everything first, go 1 round of tightening easy first, and then gradually tighten up a little bit better. Now, you also should torque all your parts, but I'm not doing that here. It's just a small part. I don't feel like it needs to be torqued. I'm going to hand tighten it to where I feel like it's snug and fits well, but you really should torque everything that you work on. Always, always, always. So torque your bolts when you work on your vehicle. Okay, the new part is in. Now is the moment of truth. I'm not even going to check the codes. I'm just going to turn the key. I'm going to let it sit for 30 seconds or so, maybe 60 seconds. Let any programming happen that needs to happen. Then we're going to turn the key and see if she starts. So can't believe that it was the throttle body after just disconnecting the battery. So beware with that, gang. Now that this thing is running, I'm going to leave it run for just a second, let the computer do anything it needs to do with this new fuel body. I'm going to have to do some relearning on this. It's going to relearn the idle, it's going to relearn some of the transmission mapping, it's going to relearn itself, and so supposedly that's going to take 100 miles or so of driving. So we're going to take this out for a little drive, see how everything's working, and then we should be good to go. Okay, gang, so the throttle body seems to be working. We did a little test drive back to the house. It's fine. We're going to go out and hit a movie and do some other stuff, run a few errands using the coach, and make sure that everything's good before we head out onto the road next week. Now, a few takeaways from this. These newer systems, you can't just disconnect a battery to clear a code. That was my first mistake. I'm an old school guy. You used to be able to get away with that. If the engine light didn't come back on, then hey, you were good to go. And if it came back on, you knew you didn't fix the problem. Don't do that anymore. If I had just had an OBD2 reader, I could have read the code from the gas cap issue that I had, cleared that code, would have been fine. I disconnected the negative on the battery and it killed the programming in the computer, requiring me to replace the throttle body, and or I probably could have had some very expensive reprogramming of that throttle body done by the dealership. I don't know, but I knew it was going to cost me more. If I had it towed to the dealership, would have been probably $200 just by itself. So $200 plus a little bit of time for the installation of the throttle body, which really isn't that hard. The average person can do it. 4 bolts, like I said, and an alligator ring around the inlet. That's it. Very, very easy. But do not disconnect your battery cables for any means unless you are going to have, unless you are aware of this issue that may happen with throttle bodies or other parts that you may have in your vehicle. Now, you guys go ahead, tear me apart in the comments. I'm okay with that. It's an old school trick that we used to use to clear a check engine light if we repaired something and knew it was fixed. And obviously, if it came back on, we knew it wasn't fixed. But lesson learned. So if you have a newer Ford 6.8 liter and you disconnect the battery and you're having an issue starting it again or getting it to idle and things like that, you're probably going to have to replace the throttle body. $200 and you're back on the road. So that's it, gang. There's your, battery disconnect throttle body issue with the newer Fords. This one's a 2006, the F53 chassis. Wasn't that big of a deal. It was a little bit pissed me off, but that's, such is life. And if you like the video, guys, go ahead and subscribe. And if you didn't like it anyways. You've seen enough cat videos and all that stuff, so you don't need to watch any more of that crap. And subscribe to the channel. Stay up to date on all the things that we're doing, all the craziness. We've got some really cool stuff coming. My drone has been ordered, so that's going to be a lot of fun. I look forward to playing with that thing. That's all I got for you in this video, gang. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon in another video. My name is Paul, and we'll talk to you again soon. Have a great day. And I just checked the codes, and you guys won't be able to see it on here, but basically all the codes are now clear. No codes, so we're gonna take it for a drive, see what happens.